A long off-season was spent anxiously ready to return to the racetrack, and today, all of that anticipation finds its release as we get ready for the season opener for the Porsche Sprint Challenge USA West Series. I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is former racer Joey Atterbury. Joey, it's the first day of school. What do you think the drivers' expectations are coming in?
I think it's get around this racetrack, this 2.5 mile, 12 turn facility cleanly. I think that's what everybody's goal is. And let's take a look at this track map. It is a very fast and flowing racetrack with a little bit of elevation to kind of throw some apexes for a little bit of a curveball, including turn number 1. And then look down towards turn number 3. That's probably our biggest and best passing opportunity. But then Sector 2 and Sector 3 on this racetrack, much tighter, a little bit more technical, and you really got to keep it on the racing line.
For sure. And as we take a look at the drivers now out on the warm-up laps, that gives us a chance to go through our starting grid as we had qualifying just a short time ago. Drivers all lined up. There's the last of them coming through. So, as Jordan Darling leads us from the pole, it is Brandon Hankins starting from the pole with Jordan Darling starting from second. Laura Eli then will be P3, the pole sitter of our Masters class. David Fabi will start from fourth. Krigler will be P5, while Henry Marshall will start from sixth. And Manuel Gil Del Real will start from 7th. Then down in our Caymans, it is Greg Herback who is starting on the pole position with Zach Bradford leading in the Cayman Pro-Am pole, starting from 2nd. And then Justin Lewis, of course, bringing up the tail of the field in the number 75. All right, we're already into turn 5 here as they are being led around behind our safety car. You talked about, of course, the main passing zone into 3. What about the danger zones here, Joey? Where are the spots they need to worry about?
I think right here, this corner, turn number 7, look at how narrow it is in comparison to other areas on the racetrack. But it also has a lot of camber through that left-hander of turn number 7, so the drivers can really carry that speed. If I'm looking at other danger areas, it is coming up to this section, this chicane section, we're going to call it. It's going to be turn number 10 and 11. It is going to be where these cars start to bend off to the right here, and we're going to see these not only white and blue apex curbs, but we also get a shot of these red apex curbs. We'll really see how aggressive the drivers are going to be attacking this racetrack with how much they're going to take over those red inside curbs.
Could make a difference on the lap time as the safety car is in. Our Cup cars now have control of the field. They'll have to stay side by side here until they get around to the front stretch, waiting patiently for that green flag. Brandon Hankins, back for his second season of professional racing, will lead us to the grid. And green flag is out. We go racing down into turn 1. Brandon with a good start. Little look to the inside, and we're already going to have contact. 4 cars off into the dirt at the very first corner. One of them at least still moving. 2 seem to be at a halt there off the racing surface.
Certainly not what we want to see in turn number 1 on lap number 1. I think it was a car down the inside of turn number 1 that I think initially started that contact, and you see the rest of the field has made their way through, but we do have 2 stranded cars. Actually, yes, 2 stranded cars on drivers left. There's a third getting back out onto the racetrack.
So I think one is Jordan Darling, who got spun initially, and I think Manuel Gil Del Real also involved in it. Was trying to figure out if Laura Eli was the orange car that I saw coming up the inside that wound up getting into the side, but we cannot confirm yet.
I think it was one of the cars from a little bit further back in the field, and if my memory serves me correct, I believe there is one that got put to the back because of a little bit of an infraction earlier today, so I think that's where my eyes would be going. And unfortunate, I mean, we were talking so highly here about Justin Lewis and everybody. Man, it's just really unfortunate, but it looks like we're getting all of the cars actually rolling back out there on the racetrack.
Yeah, well, we almost did. Jordan finally got his car going before he went a lap down, but we have one, and it's Darling. Oh, no.
And, yeah, this is really what I was thinking about. I got the names mixed up here, and yes, Darling, he was starting up front and unfortunately now stranded on the side.
Yeah, so who is that other car that we just saw? And, of course, naturally, full course yellow is out. We did see the safety car just peek into the screen. This is our only car that is stationary at the moment. Jordan Darling, who unfortunately won't even really get to do much more racing than the first corner from what this is looking like with the flashers on and the car at a halt. There is the safety car just going by now, leading Brandon Hankins. Henry Marshall moves himself up into second. Great leap here at the start. And Greg Herback is leading the Caymans from third overall.
That's pretty cool. And yeah, like I said, it's just a little bit of a misspoke on my part because Justin Lewis is still out there in that Cayman Masters class. He's sitting there in second in that Masters class. But to your point, Joe Peak, yeah, with kind of the schmozzle that the Cup cars had in turn number one, those Caymans were maybe 100 yards, 200 yards back, and they were able to get through turn number one nice and clean.
That is Del Real.
This is new.
Yeah, we're hearing turn 4. Now, that is typically a tough place for cars at full speed. I wonder if he was playing catch-up to the back of the field and wound up into the barrier there. So that is a real shame because he had a chance to get back into this. He was involved in the open accident, but when they get packed up like that, and since I don't think he went a lap down, he could have definitely tried to recover this race, but it has all gone sideways before they could really get the season going. Not the way you want to kick things off, but I guess if you're going to have problems, have them early, and then maybe you can make up for it later as you start to learn and grow.
Well, and let's kind of focus on the positive side. Unfortunately, crashes do happen. But the teams out here are top-notch teams. They are all well-prepared. They've got their spare parts. And not only that, but whenever you have a little bit of an issue, all the other teams are also going to help out. If you're missing something, sure, maybe we got it in our trailer. And this is really kind of a chance to see everybody on those teams really get to work, get the cars back together. And remember, we do have another race tomorrow, so I would not count these cars out for the weekend. These teams are so good at what they do.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like we had too big of an impact that we can write them off quite yet. I hope we should be good on that front. Saw a car at the back. That may be Eli's. I was trying to figure out that looked like a little bit of bodywork may have been sticking out. We'll see here as the cars go by if we can spot it. But I can report that Krigler looks like he's come into pit lane. Del Real we saw at the side of the track, even though it's marking him as in pit lane. So I'm not sure. That must be some sort of problem with our timing and scoring. But at least we do have visual that the car has stopped at this point.
And I agree with you, Joe. I think it's this one of the last cars on the train. I think it might actually be the caboose on the train, the orange car at the very, very back. I think what you were talking about is maybe a little bit of that rear bumper still kind of hanging off from that impact. And usually when it's a rear contact and you got rear damage, it's usually not their fault.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, exactly. Well, they've already got the loader going, so we're going to get Darling off the circuit here shortly, and we should be able to get going. This is a 35-minute plus 1 lap race, so it's not very long, hence the name Sprint Challenge in the title. But if you're not familiar with it, when we say plus 1 lap, if you're used to most timed racing, they bring out the white flag as soon as there is less than a full lap's worth of racing left. Not so in this series. When the time runs out and hits 0, the next time by, they then wave the white flag and you get one more lap to complete the race. So that's how this will work. We still have plenty of time to go as we're only about 5 minutes in, so there's still lots of racing that can happen. It's just a bit of a shame that the field has been a little bit trimmed already, and hopefully that doesn't bite into too much of the battling that we're expecting to see, because there were definitely some drivers that were quite close on pace out there.
I was really looking forward to that, but like I said, these teams are so fantastic. I bet you they're going to get these cars fixed up. The drivers are going to figure out exactly where they were a little bit too over-aggressive. And remember, we have the whole race control side of things as well, so I'm sure that if they see something, right, if they see something that might have been overly aggressive, they're going to talk to the driver as well. And this is all learning, right? Sure, there are consequences out here as we're seeing cars out of the race, cars damaged, more work to be done, but it's all a learning opportunity, and you have to learn from these potential mistakes and move forward and get better.
This Sprint Challenge series, both the USA West and in the North America Series, as well as the Endurance Challenge, you could say, all find themselves as the bottom rung of a ladder system, of a pyramid, as they call it internally, for the Porsche single make series. And in fact, it's not just their single make series, but all of their racing. They use it as a way to launch the careers and find talent. From here, a lot of drivers eventually find their way into Carrera Cup as they graduate. And then from Carrera Cup, if you're really good, you can find your way into Super Cup, and that is really at the top echelon. You got to be some of the fastest in the world, quite literally, to get there. There we can finally see confirmation about that damage, so we were right. And that is, in fact, Eli, unfortunately.
And, I see right rear damage, which would tell me there's probably front left damage on another car.
Exactly. Yeah, I know she got involved, tangled up in that incident, because I believe she did get the side of Darling, but it was the back of her definitely got a punch. So she was just as much a victim in all of this.
I think what I would really like to see in it's so difficult to do under pace car conditions, safety car conditions, but whenever you have bodywork damage, there's no tire rub on the car right now, which is great to see. But whenever you get up to speed and the car is fully loaded, that might actually develop a little bit. So I'm sure the team is probably on the radio with Laura and just say, hey, weave the car left and right, accelerate it, hit the brakes nice and hard, so that way you're really getting the full roll and pitch of this car, just to see, hey, is there any tire smoke? Do you smell anything from that impact? And do we need to check anything out? Because right now it looks A-okay.
That's really smart. Yeah, hopefully they'll be in communication with her on that. The team, very proud of the progress they've made and all that they've brought together. It's a close-knit small group, and talking to some of the mechanics over there. And in fact, I'm a bit sad because one of the talking points we've had since last season, actually, is that they've developed a G-force system inside their cockpit, which is a little rubber ducky that they've told us as soon as that falls off, they know they've hit something. But that was a big joke. But then they actually updated it the last round. We didn't get to show it, and they updated it again today, and it must be cursed because we aren't able to get the onboards working, so we can't show you. But I did at least want to give it a nod so that their hard work. They've literally gone to gone as far as giving him different outfits, because he's got a different outfit this time compared to Atlanta.
And I was going to ask you, you know him a little bit better. Does the rubber ducky have a name at all?
Oh, shoot. I feel like they told me back in Atlanta, and I can't remember.
And it might be one of those things that's probably best in the paddock, too.
Possibly, yes. If you've ever been around racing, it can be, let's say, a rather blue sometimes. But we'll tell you if it is able to be repeated on air. They've given him a helmet and sunglasses, they said, so that he's nice and safe. And that was actually in response, because when I showed my wife, her complaint was he doesn't have a helmet on. He's not safe.
Yeah, I mean, he's inside the race car. He's traveling with Laura out there at speeds in well excess of 150 miles an hour. Safety is a real concern for that rubber ducky.
And I do want to touch on something, and it's definitely a point of pride, I feel like, in my time getting to work with Porsche. Oh, we did have a little bit of an onboard there. They were trying it for a second. They're working on it. It just didn't quite work out. And it looks like she may have actually come into pit lane.
And I just wonder if they're going to check out that left rear damage, that right rear damage, just to make sure that the tire is properly clearanced. Because the last thing you want to do is go back out racing and then have to bring it back in. And I mean, we're doing 3 minutes per lap under safety car right now. So that's plenty of opportunity for that team to check it out.
Okay, so yeah, hopefully they can bring it back out without going down a lap. The point I was going to make is that my time here with the Porsche Sprint Challenge Series is that we've seen, a few scary wrecks over the few years that I've been on board with this series, and pretty much every single time people able to walk away and come away safe. So I want to give a huge credit to Porsche and all they do to make these as safe as possible, because that's the last thing you want to do when drivers are just starting their professional career, is wind up with injuries and things that could halt it, unfortunately. And Porsche takes that safety aspect incredibly seriously, I assure you.
Not only are they extremely fast on the racetrack and very comfortable to drive at the limit, but like you said, they are extremely safe race cars. And yeah, they are definitely battle proven out there. Anytime you're going to be in a racing situation, you never quite know what's going to happen. And when you go to tracks like Road Atlanta and Road America, where speeds are in well excess of 150 miles an hour, there's always going to be risk out there. And to your point, Joe, Porsche makes an incredibly safe race car that you can go out there and do that.
So the drivers who are still running, for those who are curious, at least according to our time and in scoring, is Brandon Hankins, who is leading with Henry Marshall in second. Henry's actually leading the Masters class right now. Greg Herback is in third overall, but he's leading the Cayman Masters. Zach Bradford leads the Cayman Pro-Am behind him. And then it is Justin Lewis who runs in fifth. Laura Eli has come into pit lane. We're hoping she'll come back out and we'll get going. Oh, we're just getting word that she may have retired, but we will try to get verification before we give any. Sure. Okay, there we go. She is officially out. Oh, man. Real sad to see because it didn't look like it was too bad. We're also getting word that the lights should go off this time by, and that means once we cross the line, it'll be one lap back to green flag racing.
And it could have been a situation where the team Black Sheep Racing was talking to Laura and said, hey, really put some load in the car. And I was thinking about tire clearance, right? And it could be more than tire clearance because when you think if you get a hit in the right rear, it's not just the tire. It could be potentially toe links. If the toe is way out of whack back there, she'll be able to feel that the handling is not right and be able to report that to the team.
Indeed. So she'll have to come back for tomorrow's race. Team might have a bit of a night to try and get that car back into shape. Hopefully it's nothing too big or intensive for them to try and fix. So Henry Marshall, I believe, had a single win last time out.
I believe it was at the
wins.
home track,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, 2 wins at Spring Mountain, but has not stood on the top step since. This would be wild if he wins the first 2 races of 25, comes back to 26 and says, I'm going to do the same thing again.
But you know what the difference is? In the next class up, because remember last year he was in those Cayman GT4s and now he's out there in these cup cars. So it's not just repeating, it's actually taking that step up and then proving that same success.
Well, and that just goes back to what we were talking about Porsche doing such a good job to make this accessible to people, because even a more granular level than what we've got here in the Sprint Challenge, because there are multiple classes, both in North America and West. You can start out with the Caymans, which are, as we've mentioned, are a little bit slower.
And just from that, a little bit of a thinning of the field out here, getting reset for the green flag. And it really is going to be that race versus Brandon Hankins and Henry Marshall. And look, that is such a bummer sight to see. Definitely a little bit sad leaving her car there in the paddock. That was Laura Eli walking away from the stricken car.
Yeah, and the body language said it all, too. Just, you could see kind of the arms slumped down. So she's feeling it. She's not too happy. She races a lot, but you never want this.
I don't blame her, right? Yeah. It is just such an unfortunate incident. But you know what? The sun still comes up tomorrow, and we still got more racing right here with this green flag.
With Brandon Hankins once again having control of the field. This time going to be single file. Hopefully that'll help us down into turn 1 a little bit. Let's cross our fingers we get a nice clean restart, and he is immediately on it, not wasting any time. Brandon Hankins with a fantastic start. Marshall caught napping as they head down into turn 1. This time much more spread out.
Nicely clipping that apex is our leader, this white, black, and red number 295. Brandon Hankins now accelerates out of turn number 2 down this long straightaway that isn't quite straight here. There's a little bit of bend and weave to it. Hard on the brakes here for turn number 3.
Looking very good on this restart. 19 minutes left to go, plus 1 lap on the clock. Marshall also still in that second position. But back in the GT4s, the Caymans, Herback only about, I'm seeing, half a second ahead of Bradford. That's for the Caymans overall.
This will be a fun fight to watch develop. Remember, Greg Herback was with us in 2025 with the Sprint Challenge, not only the USA West Series, but also competing in some of those endurance rounds as well. So he's got a lot of experience. However, the driver chasing him is new here for 2026. So he has got a new competitor out there, not only to fight against, but also to learn how he drives.
And, I mean, Zach's had some pretty good training. He's had great Porsche racer, Eric Filgaris, helping to coach him and bring him up. So we'll see if that's enough to overtake a driver who's now on his third season of professional racing and who has been making great inroads each and every time we see him on track, getting quicker and quicker. So those three Caymans looking relatively close. Justin Lewis also not exactly falling back. This is actually looking like it's going to be one of our best races right now.
Herback nice and clipping that apex of the second apex of turn number 12, but Bradford gets a terrific run down the straightaway here. A little bit of a puff of smoke at the apex at turn number 1. That's okay. I think that just shows the driver's really cutting hard on that turn in, but this is where the slipstream is going to come into effect, and you see Bradford only about, call it 5 car lengths back. I bet you it's going to close to about 4 in the brake zone. Let's see this accordion here as they're hard threshold braking a little bit closer at apex.
He is right tight to the rear spoiler of the number 49. Zach Bradford doing everything he can to keep the pressure on, and he still has plenty of racing left to go. So it certainly seems like time is on his side. This is down into turn 5 now. The curved entry for this one, probably making it not all that easy into a long right-hand corner. And he drops off a little bit. Greg maybe responding.
Let's see about through this tricky turn number 7. You know, when we were driving this racetrack, I felt that this corner right here, this left-hander, was one of the most visually deceiving corners on the racetrack. It's narrow going in, but heavy banking allows you to carry a lot of speed. And not only that, but the track surface here has incredible amounts of grip. So you can really trust these Porsche race cars when you toss it into the corner. But ooh, a little bit of a look down the inside from Zach Bradford. I don't think he was anywhere close enough to make a move, but sometimes it's just presenting that car in the mirror, taking their eyes off of the racing line.
The psychological game. We had Dominic Cicero in here a little bit earlier, talked about how he works with the drivers that he coaches and works on that mental game, how important it is for drivers. And will that be enough? Can there be a crack in the armor that Zach can find to displace Greg?
I think that Zach is liking what he's seeing right now because he's not only keeping pace with Herback, who obviously has a lot more experience in these cars, at least as of right now this weekend, but he was actually a little bit off of the apex in turn number 1. Now, Herback did a terrific job to gather it back up and not lose any time, but when you're that car that's chasing somebody in front and you see even 6 inches off of the apex, you're thinking, all right, if I nail this, I'll be that little bit closer.
He's been hanging on. This was where we saw Greg maybe manage to get a bit more distance on him. Looked strong last lap. What's it going to look like this time? So 49 takes it down through turn 5. Zach holding on, now switching into turn 6, into one of the more narrower sections of 7. Heavy braking down into here. And then, of course, this could be one of the more important exits. That looked pretty good. In fact, 2 wheels off into the dirt from Greg Herback. That opens the door a little bit, but they don't have the overlap up into turn 8. Don't think it's going to be on quite yet. But like you said, it does seem like Zach knows he's getting in his head.
He is right there filling up every single mirror that Herback has right now in that multicolored, call it black, red, and orange number 49 car. And it's just anxiety, right? When you have somebody right on your rear bumper, you find yourself looking in the mirror, looking in the right mirror. Are they poking out in the brake zone? And that's those distractions that you actually need to put in the back of your brain, focus on your driving, because if you hit your marks, it's going to make it very difficult for anybody to come up and catch you.
Well, after a little slip up down at turn 7, looks like things have recovered slightly for Herback. It's still not out of the woods by any stretch of the imagination. No, we haven't shown it, but just a audible heads up. Hankins still leads this race over Marshall, but those are both your respective leaders in the Pro-Am and Masters Cup class. This is where the action has been in much of our race. Somewhat shortened, unfortunately, by a long early caution. We're down to already less than 14 minutes to go.
I really do like what Bradford is doing is that he's staying patient, right? I feel like he maybe has a little bit more speed in some areas of the racetrack, but he's not forcing any issues right now. He's just getting a little bit closer. And trust me, the closer you get, the other driver out in front, they definitely notice, and the more they have to concentrate on every single mark. And there, that same corner, turn number 7, Greg Herback trying to take advantage of every single inch of asphalt plus a little bit more.
Obviously not willing to waste anything there, trying to get on the throttle, knowing that he can make himself vulnerable in an awkward spot. This not necessarily being one of them usually, although he's quite close. There's not enough of a straightaway down into turn 12 for Zach to dive in this time. But man, he is less than a car length behind at some spots.
He has closed it up even more in this last half lap. You see Herback a little bit earlier on the brakes going into turn number 1. Let's see about the drive going out of turn number 2, though. That's the most crucial part of this 1-2 complex because the exit of turn 2 leads you down this very, very long straightaway. And once again, call it about maybe 3 car lengths, maybe 4 actually from the overhead shot. So I think that Zach, if he wants to feel really comfortable, just that little bit closer, and as we've seen, maybe just another lap.
You always talk about how drivers are learning and probably taking notes out there. I had made the comparison earlier today about it's the first day of school. How much do you think classmates know each other by this stage? Because we've only had testing and qualifying up to this point.
Very little. I think that drivers are always eager to get to know one another, right? Because we're all out here for the same reason. We love racing. We love fast cars. We want to be competitive. So we all like the same thing. However, you are still competitors and you want to be P1 out there. But yeah, given that it's the first day, Greg is the veteran of this series while Zach is really kind of the new guy on the scene. They're still getting to know how each other races. And that's why I was saying I think that Zach is doing a terrific job. He's not pushing the issue over aggressively.
Does seem like he's handling it well, but hasn't been able to get the pass done yet. One thing we should clarify is that Bradford is Pro-Am while Greg Herback is Masters. So this is essentially for overall win in the Caymans, which doesn't award you anything other than a bit of ego potentially. But I can guarantee you they're both looking to try and take it. They are currently each their respective class leaders down into turn 1 once again. Zach gets so close to Herback, but just tantalizingly close. Never close enough that he could actually make a dive.
I saw a lane, or I should say a line change from Herback there in turn number 12 as Bradford's going for the move in turn number 3, presenting the car, but it seemed like Herback just squeezed the brake pedal a little bit harder at the very end of the brake zone, was able to defend from that green, gold, and white number 14 car. But what I was about to say is that Herback changed his line in turn number 12 that previous lap. He went all the way out to the wall on exit, which tells me he's feeling the pressure. He's trying to get on the gas and open up the car as much as possible, as early as possible.
It's kept him the lead, at least for the time being. Lewis behind them seems to have fallen off just a bit. It looks like maybe a gap of about 4 seconds currently. So the good news is they don't have to worry about him as much, at least at this stage. There we just saw him in the background a little bit of the shot, trailing behind. Back towards the chicane of 10 and 11 once more. And this time you could see how far back he is, even though once again he's still showing himself in the mirrors.
I think it's okay, right? And as long as you keep a consistent line through there. It gets confusing when you take a look and then go back to the racing line and then maybe do something silly at the middle of the apex. But guess what? The 14 car is not doing that. He is simply taking a look down the inside, presenting the car, saying, hey, you know I'm here, and if you blow the corner, I'm going to take advantage.
Greg has been hungry for this, especially with how long he's been working on it. Can he manage to get there? That's much closer, and in fact, he was tighter off of the turn. There was Zach Bradford. He's as close as we've seen him coming up to turn 3. He's going to show himself down to the inside. He does get the overlap, but does he actually make the corner on this one? Yes, he does. Zach Bradford's your new leader in the Caymans.
Did you see the performance on braking coming out of these Cayman GT4 cars? I mean, it looked like Bradford sailed that thing in there, and then he just stood on the brake pedal, got the thing stopped at apex, turned, and now we've got our new leader in the Cayman class.
Up to the front, the number 14, making his presence known early in the season. Herback trying to hold on. Car looked a little wide off of turn 5. Is he now feeling it?
I think so. Remember when we were doing those laps, I really feel like turn number 5 is a corner that you don't need to use all of the exit, and Bradford did exactly that. He kind of kept the car shallow on the exit and accelerated out, and look at this. What was bumper to bumper about a half a lap ago is now up to 20 car lengths.
I think we can say that Zach was being held up just a tiny bit here. He's stretching his legs out. 8 minutes plus 1 lap to go. Herback still our leader in the Masters, though. Still looking at his first win here in the Porsche Sprint Challenge, even if he stays where he is. It just won't be an overall, but Zach, of course, is having a phenomenal time in his first ever run in the series.
And something that I'm just noticing on timing and scoring, and yes, certainly once again, that car down there, the 75, he's actually not in picture, but he's about 4 seconds back. He just took 2 seconds out of Greg Herback, a 139.7 last lap time for Justin Lewis out there, and he is cutting that down, maybe another couple laps, and he'll be on the back of Herback.
That was with an overtake. We'll see if that changes now that there's single file between Bradford and Herback. And this is the 295 in the meantime. Our overall leader, Brandon Hankins, coming back around to take another lap off, has been leading since the drop of the green, has avoided most of the melee behind him, and I'm sure he's glad he got that pole with the way that race started. But like I mentioned last time, a single win at Laguna Seca over his first season. He's looking to try and improve this time around, and of his 9 podiums, number 10 might be the sweetest.
When we talked to him yesterday, of course, the competitors were out doing some practice and testing for the last couple days out here, but we got the chance to sit down with Brandon Hankins a little bit. And remember, he even talked about his first race last year in the USA West Series, where he said, I didn't even know how to pass, right? I just kind of hung out behind everybody, and I had no idea how to pass anybody. And look at him now. He is 30 seconds in front of the next closest car. This is just the incline of skill that Brandon Hankins has been on. And yeah, obviously pole position today definitely was a huge benefit. I'm sure he looked in that rearview mirror and took a huge sigh of relief once he went through turn number 2 today.
And this is going to be special in the fact that this is kind of a home track for him. He's raced here in vintage cars before and has been a part of this club, but coming here and getting his second ever win in the series will be a nice little notch on his belt as he comes around to turn 12 once again. Now down to 5 minutes plus 1 lap to go. That gap still continuing to grow over, over Henry Marshall.
Yeah, he's got a plenty healthy gap, and I think that his coach Andy Lee is loving what he's seen out there on the racetrack. And the last lap time from Brandon was a 1:33.4. He is definitely the pace setter right now. And my goodness, it was only about 1,000th of a second off of his fastest lap of the race. So he is on the move out there. He is not letting up one bit. And currently fastest car on track.
Looking strong at this stage. Since we've left it, it says it's up to about 1.8 seconds between Bradford and Herback. So Zach doing just incredible over there in the Caymans as well, and getting ready to bring home his win over in that Pro-Am group. Meanwhile, we continue to follow our leader. If you missed the start, unfortunately, we've lost Jordan Darling, David Fabi. We've lost Emmanuel Gilles-Deril, and then Mark Kriegler also out of this race, and then eventually Laura Eli had to park it after damage proved to be too much to continue. So attrition came early and swift for a number of drivers, but the others carrying on and taking to this new track. And that's the other thing we have to remember, Joey. This is the first time this series is raced here. So I think they've learned a harsh lesson on the first time through.
Yeah, sometimes you get that pop quiz on day one, huh?
Exactly. That's a good, yeah, bringing it right back. And they'll study up a little bit more next time. And we've got another try at it tomorrow. And they'll have at least a little bit of a forewarning before they get into that first corner.
I'm just seeing stuff on timing and scoring, and it's not close enough, right? We're running out of time, but I'm really thinking about tomorrow, and I'm talking about our Cayman class. Now, we did see Zach Bradford take the lead. Greg Herback is still giving chase, but I'm more interested in that third-place car, Justin Lewis. We haven't really mentioned him much today. He's in that number 75 Cayman car, and he's about 3.5 seconds back from Greg Herback, but he's turning laps about 0.3, maybe even sometimes 0.4 faster than that number 49 car. So I think time's going to run out here today, but looking forward till tomorrow and the future of the rest of the season here with the West Series, very close on the Cayman performance.
So Justin is an interesting one because Porsche's also been trying to reach out to a lot of drivers who don't necessarily have racing experience, and he's one of those drivers that came in through the GT track days they've been promoting and got hooked on it. And apparently, I understand we're going to have another one of those taking place tomorrow as well for Porsche. But it goes to show the outreach works, and he has been brought into the paddock. This is definitely, Justin's a driver I feel like that probably can withstand racing out here in the desert where it still gets warm here at this part of the day, because he's a former Marine. I have a feeling that he's able to hold up in some of these harsh conditions.
Absolutely the toughest of the tough, and he's also a former motorcycle racer, dirt bike racer. He was talking about mountain bikes as well, and he was talking to us. He says he's done, well over 1,000 dirt bike races. So when we talk about competition and racing wheel to wheel, he is very, very familiar. He's very, very familiar with that competition sort of feel. It's just kind of getting a grip of the car, the steering wheel, having 4 tires underneath you instead of 2 tires. But I think bright things on the horizon for that 75.
Like what I'm seeing for his first race. He's keeping everybody within his class in check, making sure they don't completely run away with it. Speaking of which, it's now 3 seconds between Zach and Herback. So it was a great battle for much of it, and it seems to have kind of faded a bit here late in the race. Now we should be, I believe, 2 to go at the line when Brandon Hankins crosses, who we've been following with the camera for a few minutes now.
And you're right. You had already explained that we do the all the way down to the 000s on the clock, and then we do the +1 lap. If you watch other forms of endurance racing, it's a little bit of a mathematical game, right, to figure out when that last lap is. But we eliminate all of that guessing. Guess what? We still got time on the clock, so we're still green flag racing.
And I didn't catch myself out with it because there's been so many times, even though I've called this series, that I'll just my brain goes into auto mode and I see those 40 seconds left and I think, oh, this is the last lap. But nope, we got 2 to go here, and Brandon Hankins now at up to 41 seconds over Henry Marshall. And I want to give Henry a big nod here. Like you said, switching cars in the offseason can't be easy because all of that knowledge, yes, some of it does translate, but now you're getting into different machinery, and he's picked up where he's left off and just done a great job.
Yeah, he's got a terrific team around him too, with that HM Road Racing squad. I know that Brandon Chappell's over there really organizing that whole team, and then also he's got Charlie Espenlaub racing with them in the Endurance Challenge events as well. So not only is Henry Marshall proving himself as a racing car driver, but he's surrounding himself with the right people as well.
Coming up around, thought I saw a little bit of lap traffic as well. Hopefully that shouldn't cause any sort of issue for the 295 as he exits out of turn 7 down towards the chicane. I think because of the thinning of the herd, we really didn't have much in the way of worries about lap traffic. So that at least was one thing less to worry about from our Cup driver's perspective. And yeah, we just saw that same car just go by us here ahead of them. Doubt they'll be able to catch in time by the time they get to the end of the lap, as Brandon Hankins takes the white flag, 1 to go.
Let's see what this lap. My goodness, he is so consistent out there right now. So his fastest lap is a 32.8. That last lap, a 33.2. Less than a half a second off of his fastest lap on the second to last lap to go. Brandon Hankins is turning into an incredibly consistent driver, which as a coach, that's exactly what you want to see, is the same thing every single corner. That way, if there is a change to be made, we can identify it.
And that's on the same tires that he set his qualifying times on. So yeah, this is impressive stuff. There is Justin, finally getting visual on him. I think he needs a little bit of love because we haven't shown a whole lot, but he's been doing a great job out there and will come home with a P2 in the Cayman Masters. And I might have to eat my words because I didn't think he would catch him in time, but it looks like Brandon will have to lap at least one car.
Well, and we'll see how aggressive he gets. And Brandon Hankins, I love it. I think that's exactly what you need to do as a racing car driver, because the second you change what you're doing, that's when mistakes can happen. He didn't change the brake marker. He said, you know what, I'm coming down the inside. This is the performance of the car, and simply made it work.
And great heads up from Justin to see that car coming, let him through. And those two classes obviously not racing, so that was a non-issue for both parties. One thing that will be an issue for the rest is that Brandon Hankins has set down a marker early on. He is going to take the first win of the season here in the Porsche Sprint Challenge USA West Series.
The winner of that Pro-Am class for those 992s. He is going to be one happy camper all night tonight. And now we just have to patiently wait for the Masters class leader to come around. That is going to be the 278 of Henry Marshall, driving that HM road racing machine, and he will be claiming that Masters class victory as soon as he gets around turn number 12 and makes it to the start-finish line.
Yeah, last time by was about 45 seconds, so we're patiently waiting here, but should be on his way soon. And then, of course, we'll see Bradford come around as well as Herback. Those two a little bit closer together. There's Henry. An excellent job claiming another victory, his first time since round 2 of 25. Back to the top step for the 278 in the Masters class. Zach Bradford, where actually is he on the circuit currently?
I would expect him to be just in front of Brandon Hankins right here, so I'm going to guess that they're probably in the turn 8-9 area, about a third of a lap remaining.
Yeah, he just finished Sector 2, so he is coming along shortly. He and Herback going to finish on the lead lap. Of course, Lewis has now been locked into that second in the Cayman Masters. But they'll get ready to cross the line here. Our first race of the season over with. Some lessons to be learned without a doubt, but still some happiness to be celebrated as Zach Bradford comes in his first race and takes a win in the 14. Behind him, it is going to be victory in the Masters class for Greg Herback, and that completes our finishing order. So, Brandon Hankins, your winner, was followed by Henry Marshall, P2. Zach Bradford, third overall, we should also point out, was your winner in the Cayman Pro-Am. Then it was Greg Herback who finished in fourth overall with Justin Lewis in fifth. It was a DNF for Laura Eli, Mark Krigler, Manuel Gildaril, David Fabi, and Jordan Darling. We've got some podium celebrations coming up, so stick around.
it's awesome. I need my adrenaline fix, so this is like my home to... I haul ass coming down here. And then when I leave, I'm going like the speed limit, you know?
How does Apex make me feel? Exhilarating.
It just purifies your soul. It grounds me, and I need that.
I mean, the track's amazing. It's way better than anything we've seen. But the people here really make you feel like you're part of the track experience.
Apex in one word. Home.
right, it's time for our podium ceremonies for the first race weekend here in 2026. Porsche Sprint Challenge USA West Series kicking off with the Cayman Masters. Finishing in second today, driving the number 75, it's Justin Lewis. And claiming his first win in the Porsche Sprint Challenge Series, it's the driver of the 49, Greg Herbeck! Well, Justin, I'm going to come up here and climb up to your right side. First day, first race, you're collecting some hardware. It's got to feel pretty good.
Yeah, it feels pretty good. I mean, you know, I'd like to see a deeper competition, so I'll guilt some of my 50-year-old friends into getting out here with us. But all good. Honestly, I came into this weekend hoping I could run the pace. So
I think you certainly proved that, and we look forward to watching you throughout the rest of the season.
awesome. Can't wait.
And now up here to the familiar Greg Herbeck. How was it out there for you? You had some competition, but you still claimed the class win.
I did. Heads off to Justin. I started seeing him in my mirrors. And the other fella, which I don't remember his name, but Zach, I'm sorry. He gave me a great race, and that was fun. It was fun.
And what was that? Because Zach is new to the series here, so you kind of had to learn how he raced as well.
Yeah, go ahead. Slap me around. yeah, that's right. Now I know how he races fast.
Fast, well, I'm sure that you can match him. We look forward to watching you the rest of the weekend. Congratulations on the first win.
Thanks. Thank God I have another one.
All right, let's hold those stretches up high. And now, if you could swap your hats out, please. Hold up that hardware one more time. And now you get to spray a little champagne. Congratulations to our Cayman Masters winners. Up next is the Apex Award. This goes to the driver of the number 14, Zach Bradford. Congratulations. That's to our hardest charger of the race, the number 14. If you want to stick around, we've got another award for you because it's time for our Cayman Pro-Ams. Zach was our winner in the Pro-Am class, Zach Bradford. Zach, I'll climb up to your right side here. Finally get to talk to you. The new kid in school, first place trophy.
Not bad. Again, it would be great to see a deeper field in the Pro-Am, but my race was with the Masters class, and it worked out today, and Greg did not make it easy, so it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun today.
Talk to us about that battle, because you were behind him sort of analyzing every single brake marker, and then you finally made that move in turn number 3.
Yeah, I just wanted to take my time, keep it clean, see where he was braking. There's really only one clean passing spot on the track, and noticed his brake point was a little further back than mine, and took the advantage, so it was a great race. Had a lot of fun.
Well, we look forward to seeing the pace tomorrow, collecting the first win, Zach Bradford. All right, change those hats around, please. Hold that trophy up one more time. And now you get to spray some champagne. Woo. Congratulations to our Cayman Pro-Am winner, his first victory. From there, we have the 992 Masters. Finishing in third, driving the 209, is Laura Eli, who sadly is not able to collect today. Then up next in second, it's the number 270, Manuel Gil Del Rio. Looks like he is also unable to collect today, but we'll get the trophy to him. Finally, our winner in the 992 Masters. Back on the top step, it's the driver of the 278, Henry Marshall. Henry, I'll climb up your right side here, and it seems like I was on this exact same spot about a year ago. Granted, it was over in Pahrump in a different class. You're in a new car, same familiar trophy.
Well, not necessarily the way I wanted it to happen, but I'll take it. Yeah, transition's been great. Cup car's great. Really enjoying it.
I was going to ask you, what is that step up from that GT4 up into the Cup car, and how much of a smile does it put on your face?
I think Brandon and the team had to surgically remove the smile on my face the first time I was in it. So it's really a rewarding car.
Congrats on the win, the first one, hopefully of many this season, Henry Marshall. All right, we can swap over that hat. Nope, before the ship. Hold on. Gotta hold up the trophy. But now you can spray some champagne! Woo! Our 992 Masters winner, Henry Marshall, here for race 1. And now it is time for a Good Boy Vodka Fastest Lap Award. Today, the fastest lap of the race was set by the 295, Brandon Hankins. Congratulations to Brandon for our Good Boy Vodka Fastest Lap Award. Up next is our winner in the 992 Pro-Am class. Taking a win for his second time in his career, the driver of the 295, it's Brandon Hankins! Brandon, you ran away with it. It was extreme consistency. I was noticing on the live timing, your last 3 laps were only like 2/10, maybe 3/10 off of your fastest. How does that consistency just develop in a year?
Just trying to get out there and not do something stupid, getting kind of complacent in the front and going off track. So yeah, just try to be consistent with my marks and what we did in practice.
And obviously the margin of victory today was huge. Are you looking to repeat that even with all the competition tomorrow?
I'm looking to get through turn 1 tomorrow.
Good goal, good goal. Congrats on the first win. Brandon Hankins taking home the victory.
Champagne! Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We've got more Porsche action coming tomorrow with Race 2, but up next on the tracks, it's going to be the Radicals.